Hey, it's your girl, your favorite paralegal, aka Cassandra Lynn, and welcome to Legal Talk 24/7. I hope you guys are having an amazing Saturday. So let's get into this little Dirk um, drama. Well, not drama, this case. So yesterday, the United States Attorney's General Office actually released a new statement in regards to additional charges for Little Durk. It says a Grammy award winning Chicago rapper has been charged in a superseding federal grand jury indictment alleging he conspired with others to unalive a rival rapper, resulting in a shooting. Unalive of the rival's relative that occurred at a gas station near Beverly Center shopping mall in Los Angeles in August 2022, the Justice Department announced today. Dirk Banks, 32, aka Little Durk, Blood, and Mustafa Abdul Malak, I believe, of Chicago is charged with one count of conspiracy, one count of use of interstate facilities to commit unaliving for hire resulting in unaliving, and one count of using, carrying, and discharging firearms and a machine gun, and possession of such firearms in furtherance of a crime of violence resulting in unaliving. The indictment adds two felony charges against Banks, who was previously charged via criminal complaint in this case, and we'll go over that in just a second. The four-count superseding indictment returned late Thursday adds Banks as the lead defendant to a previous indictment returned October 17th and charging the following defendants in connection with the August 2022 unaliving, which is Mr. Kavan London Grant, aka Cuz Vani of Atlanta, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, Dee Dee of Chicago, Keith Jones, Flocka of Gary, Indiana, David Brian Lindsay, Brown Eyes of Addison, Illinois, and Asia Houston Boogie of Chicago. Banks was arrested on October 17th near Miami International Airport after law enforcement learned that Banks had been booked on multiple international flights. A federal magistrate judge in Miami has ordered him jail without bond until he is transferred to Los Angeles for arraignment. All six defendants, none of them who has yet entered a plea to the charges, are expected to be arraigned in the United States District Court in downtown Los Angeles in the coming weeks. According to the superseding indictment, in 2010, Banks formed an organization called Only the Family, OTF, which, among other things, produced and sold hip hop music from artists primarily from the Chicago area. OTF also acted as an association, in fact, of individuals who engaged in violence, including unaliving and assault at Banks' direction and to maintain their status in OTF. Banks feud with a victim, identified in court documents as TB. The feud stemmed from a November 6, 2020 unaliving in which an associate of TB pow-powed and unalived an OTF rapper named Devon Bennett, aka King Von. Bennett and Banks were close friends. In response to the Bennett's unaliving, Banks allegedly put a bounty on TB's life. On August 19, 2020, several OTF members and associates used two vehicles and worked in tandem to track, stalk, and attempt to unalive TB for hours, culminating in a pow-powing at a gasoline station located near the Beverly Shopping Center shopping mall. The co-conspirators used multiple pow-pows, including a machine pow-pow, and fired at least 18 rounds. And I'm laughing because the way I'm saying it. And fired at least 18 rounds at TB's vehicle, striking and unaliving a victim identified in court documents as SR, who was TB's family member who had been traveling with TB. Banks allegedly ordered TB's unaliving, and the hitman used money from banks and OTF related finances to carry out the hit. And that's why it becomes federal, because you it's this is sad. This is really, really, really sad. Banks and flights records show that an OTF member and close associate of Banks coordinated and paid for five co conspirators to travel from Chicago to California on the day of the unaliving. Around the time the one way flights were purchased, Banks told the OTF associate booking the flights, "Don't book no flights under no names involved with me." The same day the hitman traveled from Chicago to California, Banks also traveled to California in a private jet with another conspirator, Kavan London Grant, aka Cuz, and Vonnie. Later that day, Grant allegedly purchased ski masks for the Pow Powers to use to commit the unaliving and paid using a credit card in Banks' name for the other co-conspirators' hotel room. If you talking about slow. Mr. Banks is charged with orchestrating a cold-blooded unaliving that resulted in the unaliving of a rival's family member, said United States Attorney Martin Estrada. Not only that, the pow-powing occurred in the open at a gas station at a busy intersection, endangering many others in the area. Violent pow pow crime of this sort is devastating to our community, and we will have zero tolerance for those who perpetrate such callous acts of violence. The apprehension of Mr. Banks as he attempted to leave the United States is once again proof that the FBI and our extraordinary partners at the LAPD have a long reach, said Akil Davis, who is the assistant director in charge of the FBI Los Angeles field office. No excuse can justify this violent act, and let me be clear. While you are going about your life thinking you got away with it, the FBI is piecing together the facts that will serve as your undoing. That is literal facts. Why you thinking that nobody was watching the whole time? They're piecing together and they are plotting to bring you down. Cases like these that span multiple states and jurisdictions are complicated and can oftentimes only be resolved through the collaboration of multiple departments, said Los Angeles Police Chief Dominique Choi. The arrest is the culmination of the combined efforts of our partners in the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, and LAPD's Operation West Bureau homicide detectives who discovered that Dirk D, aka Little Dirk, was involved in this heinous murder. The hundreds of hours spent on the investigation, including surveillance, um, throwing numerous search warrants, using forensic technology, and tireless investigation, travel, and collaboration alongside our federal partners led to this arrest. I am appreciative of the dedication of those involved. The other five defendants are in federal custody in Illinois after their initial court appearances in Chicago. They remained charged for one count of conspiracy, one count of use of interstate facility to commit unaliving for hire resulting in unaliving, and one count of using, carrying, and discharging firearms and a machine pow pow, and possession of such firearms in furtherance of a crime of violence resulting in unaliving. Jones faces an additional count of possession of a machine pow pow. An indictment contains allegations that a defendant has committed a crime. Every defendant is presumed to be innocent until and unless proven guilty in court. If convicted, all defendants would face a statutory maximum sentence of life in prison. The FBI and the LAPD are investigating this matter, and this was updated actually yet yesterday. Um, what is going to get these men in trouble? I don't know why, and this is why I'm very selective with what my children. I have teenagers, but I still be on their case about the type of music that they actually listen to because the lyrics tells it all. Like you commit a crime, then you go back and you rap about it as if nobody is going to download the lyrics to your song. Make that make sense. Please make that make sense. It does not make sense at all. And then what do they do? And when I say they, the courts do, the attorneys, the prosecution, they use your lyrics against you because you put it all in a song. You put it all in a song. And right there, they can use that as evidence. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did. Um, Let me see. I'm looking on the court docket right now, but the first superseding indictment right now is not available for the public. It is sealed. Um I'm gonna see. I might have to do a part two because I might get that because I truly, truly, truly want to know exactly what was said on there. But what I am showing you guys on the screen is just the initial complaint that was filed in Miami, and then it was actually transferred or in Florida, and it was transferred to California. And let me go to. So here we go. So it was initially filed in Miami. Um, and this is kind of like the docket text of everything that happened, and so it's just showing that it transferred it to the state of California. um let's see. Defendant sworn and advised rights. Counsel filed temporary appearance. Defendant waived removal. The parties stipulate to PTD with the right to revisit. No hearing held. The Brady order was given. Defendant removed to the Central District of California. And this is his waiving his rights to a hearing. Commitment to another district in which they went to California. And here is California. And this is the warrant. This is the warrant for arrest. And so he was initially arrested for conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit unaliving for hire, resulting in unaliving, which is in violation of the United States Title 18 of the United States Code, Section 1958A. So that's what he was initially charged with, and now he has two additional charges. So his initial complaint was by telephone, and this was the FBI agent actually provided her affidavit um, in support of the criminal complaint and arrest warrant for Dirk Banks, or AKA Little Dirk. Something that was very, very interesting, as I stated before, a lot of people think that they can get away with crimes and not realizing that there's always going to be somebody behind the scene. And when I say somebody, that means like the FBI, US Marshals, all of them that is working 24/7 to bring, gather evidence, put together information so that they can build a case against you. So when that time comes and you are caught, they have every single thing that you can think of. It's very, very hard to fight federal crimes. It's very hard. Look at Diddy's case. um, it's very hard. So you have no choice but to just sit back and listen and pray to God that You don't get as much time as you thinking. But I wanted to read this affidavit. So this is the background of the FBI agent. So she is a special agent with the FBI. She's been employed since April 2010. She was assigned to the Victim Crime Squad in LA field office and worked in a variety of crimes, including unaliving for hire, kidnapping, hostage taking, robberies, extortion, aggravated threats, assaults on federal officers, firearms violations, and felonies at a federal facility. Upon joining the FBI, she graduated from the FBI Basic Special Agent Training course in Virginia, where she received training in a variety of investigative and legal matters, including the topics of Fourth Amendment searches, the drafting of search warrant affidavits, and probable cause. In my current role, I am assigned to a violent crime criminal squad where I have experience conducting and assisting with multiple violent crimes investigation as described above. I have formal training in case management, interviewing and interrogation, crisis management, crime scene analysis, cellular telephone analysis, evidence collection, social media exploitation, and handling confidential sources. This is what they do, and they specialize in each area that they are going cell phone it's pretty much cell phone analysis, social media exploitation. That's why you have to be careful. Like, people do things not realizing that s- they have they have access to all of this. They are watching you, whether they're stalking you around physically or they are stalking your social media. You have to be careful what you put out on the internet. I cannot stress that enough. They will use it against you. You think that you're deleting stuff, but you're not. There's your information, your videos, whatever you post is stored somewhere. It never goes away. But these officers have training in this field. So there's no way to work around that. So here's a summary of the probable cause. So they had probable cause for arresting Little Durk. Banks is the leader of the Chicago-based rap collective known as Only the Family (OTF). The status as a rap collective, I know best on the investigation that OTF was acts also acts as an association in fact of individuals who engaged in violence, including unaliving and assault, at the direction of Lil Durk and to maintain their status. So these people are a part of this, but in order to maintain status in this organization, they had to do things. For example, based on evidence collected during the investigation, including the interview and witnesses, I know that Banks put a monetary bounty out for an individual whom Banks was feuding named TB. And then here's a footnote. It says, due to serious safety concerns, the affidavit does not provide the identity of these witnesses. Based on the FBI's investigation, I know that witnesses and or their family members have already received threats and or have been contacted in what appears to be attempts to influence their participation in the investigation. Number five says, as detailed below, on August 19, 2022, multiple OTF members and associates used two vehicles and worked in tandem to track, stalk, and attempt to unalive TB at a gas station located in Los Angeles, California. The co conspirators fired at least 18 rounds at TB's vehicle, striking and unaliving SR, TB's family member who was traveling with TB. On October 17th, the grand jury sitting in the Central District of California returned an indictment charging five co conspirators, and we listed them all, with crimes arising from the unaliving, including unaliving for hire and conspiracy to commit murder for hire resulting in unaliving, which was a violation of Title 18. Banks is identified as the co-conspirator one in the indictment, which is incorporated herein by reference. Based on this investigation and as described below, evidence that Banks ordered TB's unaliving and that the hitman used Banks and OTF related finances to carry out the unaliving. For example, bank and flight records show that OTF member and close associate of Banks, who is co-conspirator number three, coordinated and paid for Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, and Houston and another TF. You use instead of you just withdrawing the money out the account. Not saying that this is what you need to do, but instead of withdrawing money out of the account, you used your credit cards. You purchased flights with your credit cards. How dumb can you be? Co-conspirator number two, to travel from Chicago to California on the day before the unaliving. Co-conspirator three paid for the flights using a credit card linked to Little Durk's and the organizations. But like, really? Around that time, co-conspirator three purchased the co-conspirators' flights to California. iCloud records show that a phone number associated with Banks text co-conspirator 3. Don't book no flights under no names involved with me. Yes, this is where the phone comes in at. So even though you thinking that you're clearing out all your text messages and phone log and all this other stuff, it goes somewhere. That's why we subpoena phone companies, social media companies, because we know that it goes somewhere. Additionally, on the same day, the hitman traveled to California from Chicago. Banks also traveled to California with another charged co-conspirator, Grant, on a private jet. Later that day, Grant purchased ski masks for the unalivers to use to commit the unaliving and paid for the other co-conspirator's hotel room using a credit card in his name. Earlier this morning, and this was on October 24th, federal and local law enforcement executed multiple search warrants at a location associated with the organization in or around the Chicago area and arrested Grant, Wilson, Jones, Lindsay, and Houston. After executing the warrants, the FBI learned that Banks had been booked on at least 3 international flights scheduled to leave United States today. When Banks arrived near one of the departing airports, he was arrested by law enforcement. So he caught wind that these folks was arrested, and he was like, "Baby, let me go ahead and get my plane ticket out the country." Probable cause. So, based on her training and experience, her involvement in this investigation, conversations with other law enforcement officers, witness statements, and review of reports and other documents prepared by law enforcement officers, she was aware of the following. Chicago based hitmen traveled to Los Angeles to unalive a rival of Banks. That's probable cause. You travel from one state to another. That is in violation of Title 18 United States Code 1958A. And then you turned around and discharged firearms and machine pow pows, which is another crime. And then Jones got charged an additional for violating, for having a possession of a machine pow pow, which is another violation. Um, let's see. I'm not going to read all this because we have really read that in the previous document. The second probable cause is that the hitman traveled using funds linked to Little Durk. And she said, based on her review of the LAPD police reports, surveillance footage, bank and flight records, witness statements, and homicide detectives from LAPD and the federal investigation federal investigators involved in this case. So that's probable cause number two. Let me see. I think it gets Yeah. Oh, yeah, it does get deep. So let's read this. So the second probable cause is that they traveled using his funds linked to Lil Durk's bank. So August 18th, 2022, the day before SR's unaliving, OTF members learned of the location of TB from a longtime OTF affiliate, co-conspirator number 4. After OTF members learned this, the following men took a one-way flight from Chicago to San Diego: Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and co-conspirator number 2. The one-way tickets to San Diego were purchased using an American Express credit card ending in 2039 and in the name of co-conspirator 3, who is also associated with OTF and banks. Based on records from Apple, I know that on the same day, a number ending in 9595, believed to be associated with banks, sent a text message to co-conspirators stating, don't book no flights under any names involving him. So let's see. Footnote says facts associating this number with banks include co-conspirator 3 and Grant saving this number with contact names associated with banks, and banks self-identifying using this number in February 2022 text message to an individual in Florida unrelated to this investigation. So so they went all the way back to confirm. So they know it was Banks and they know that it was his card because he confirmed that card number back in a previous message to somebody that's not related in the case. Based on her review of hotel records, she knows that Grant rented and paid for a room at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, California on August 18, 2022, using an American Express card in Banks' name ending in 1015. Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and co-conspirator 2 stayed at the hotel the night before the co-conspirators tracked, stalked, and attempted to unalive TB. Based on my review of bank records, I know that 2039 and 1015 credit cards were issued under an account belonging to OA and Astronaut Sounds LLC. Based on public information, I know that OA was Bank's manager in or around 2022. Georgia Secretary of State Online Corporation records shows that Astronaut Sounds LLC was initially registered by OA in 2017. A request for a request of amendment was filed in 2021 and a new manager, Banks, was added to the business. The bank records also show that the Astronaut Sounds American Express account had 4 credit cards issued to 4 individuals: Banks, co-conspirator 3, Banks' father, DB, and OA. Based on my review of the records from a private airplane company, I know that Banks and Grant flew on the same airplane from Los Angeles to Miami on August 16, 2022, and back to Los Angeles on August 18, 2022, the day before SR's unaliving. Records from a rental property showed that Banks manager OA rented a house in Encino, California from July 1st, 2022 to October 1st, 2022. Based on investigators' review, a photograph of the interior of the Encino rental, I know that video footage from August 18th, 2022 podcast shows the host of a podcast with Banks, wherein Banks appears to be inside the Encino house. Baby, they looked at every single aspect they can look at to confirm and verify. On the day of the unaliving, which was August 19, 2022, surveillance video shows TBSR and others leave their hotel in Los Angeles and entered a black Escalade, a Cadillac Escalade. Surveillance video taken from numerous locations throughout Los Angeles, including TB's hotel and the gas station where the unaliving occurred, showed that 2 vehicles followed the Escalade for hours leading up to the powing. One vehicle was a white BMW, and the other was a white Infinity. Among things, surveillance video from the unaliving scene shows unaliving vehicle 2 parked in the alley behind the gas station where three POW powers wearing black masks exit the vehicle, and those were later identified as Jones, Lindsay, and co-conspirator number 2, walk to the gas station and then open fire on the Escalade. The POW powers then ran back to the unaliving vehicle 2 and drove away. Unaliving vehicle 1 drove away from the area just minutes before the pow-powing. Approximately Approximately 50 minutes after the pow-powing, surveillance video from the In-N-Out restaurant in Los Angeles shows Grant, Jones, and Wilson arrived in unaliving vehicle number 1. The video also shows Lindsay and co-conspirator 2 arrive at an In-N-Out in a black SUV. Based on the comparison of the surveillance video showing the unaliving to video from the In-N-Out restaurant, law enforcement identified that Lindsay Jones and co-conspirator 2 were the individuals who opened fire and unalived SR. All right, so here's footnote number 5. Let me see where that was. Okay, right here. So what's going on with this vehicle? So, based on the investigation, Grant was the primary driver of vehicle number 1. As discussed above, in addition to driving the vehicle, Grant took steps to help facilitate the unaliving, including booking the hotel room for the hitman. Additionally, GPS data associated with vehicle number 1 shows that the vehicle was parked outside of the sporting goods store at the approximate time that 4 black ski masks matching the appearance of those used by the POW powers were purchased. Boy, boy, boy. A few hours after the pow-powing, Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, Houston, and co-conspirator 2 boarded a flight from San Diego to Chicago. Once again, the credit card in the name of co-conspirator 3 was used to pay for the one-way tickets. Oh my gosh. All right, so here's the third reason for probable cause. Banks booked multiple international flights after law enforcement arrested multiple co-conspirators and executed search warrants at locations associated with OTF members. Yeah, bro knew he was cooked. I know the following based on my conversations with other law enforcement agents involved in an investigation and my personal involvement in the investigation. In the early hours of October 24th, 2024, law enforcement arrested Grant, Jones, Lindsay, Wilson, and Houston and executed multiple search warrants in the Chicago area, including a warrant to search the home of co-conspirator 3. Shortly after making these arrests and executing the search warrants on October 24th, the FBI received notifications from U.S. Customs and Border Protection showing that Banks had been booked as a passenger on 2 international flights. I'm going to tell y'all now, they already know. They were looking into Durk way long before he thought that they were on to him. So they're going to send out to airlines, pretty much the U.S. custom borders, as they mentioned, to it's like a red flag. So if they try to purchase a ticket, um, this is what happens. They're gonna have the popos waiting for you right there. So let's see what he do. Let's see what he did. Showing the Banks and had been booked as a passenger on 2 international flights, a one-way flight from Miami to Dubai, and then connecting through Qatar, scheduled to depart the evening of October 24th, and then a one-way flight from Fort Lauderdale to Switzerland, connecting via New Jersey, also scheduled to depart the evening of 2024. Banks did not board either flight. He was trying to throw them off. He was trying to throw them off. Um, Ooh, okay. So let's go back to the footnotes. So the first one, he did a one-way flight from Miami to Dubai, United Arab Emirates, which is UAE. And then this book, excuse me, this bookmark says, or footnote, based on an open source research, I believe that the UAE does not have a bilateral extradition treaty with the United States. Because if he goes there, then I don't think that he could be extradited back. And then footnote here, and this is going from Fort Lauderdale to Switzerland, connecting to New Jersey. So Banks did not board either flight. Footnote 7 says extradition to and from the United States. Overview of the law and contemporary treaties. Congressional Research Service. Is that it? I don't know if that footnote, if that's all from the footnote. Huh. Okay. So at approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or Eastern Time, the FBI received an additional CB Custom Border Patrol notification that Banks had been booked as a passenger on a private plane departing Miami and destined for Italy, scheduled to depart at approximately 9 p.m. First of all, you just booking flights? Man, send me some money so I could just book a flight. You just wasted 2 flights. At approximately 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Banks was arrested by law enforcement in the vicinity of the departing airport. Boy, they caught up. They caught up with dude. But I wonder how they know he was about to leave on his private jet. Who snitched? In conclusion, for all of these reasons described above, there is probable cause to believe that Banks violated Title 18 United States Code Section 1958A, which was conspiracy to use interstate facilities to commit unaliving for hire, resulting in unaliving. And since then, as of today, he has been charged with uh, additional charges. I'm just kind of going through here. Da, 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 da. And this is just when he was initially arrested in Florida. When I say this is tragic, this is tragic. This is really tragic. Um, the records are sealed, but I'm going to see if I can just go ahead and purchase the updated or revised indictment that adds the 2 felony charges against him. Um, yeah, this is wild. This is wild. I'm not trying to give anybody any type of ideas, but I just want to say you have to be careful what you are putting out there. Like everything, unless you keep stuff to yourself or you go up to somebody and you speak with them directly, not over the phone, not texting, not through social media, like be mindful of that. Be very, very mindful of that. But these people, you have to be caught. I'm sorry. If you're unaliving somebody, eventually that is going to catch up with you. So in addition to this man with the one count of interstate facilities to commit the unaliving for hire, now you are facing not even, yeah, you're facing 2 additional felony charges. Y'all tell me what y'all please think about this. I never thought a dude that just put out a song, and I don't want to say not too long ago, it's been a while. Um, I wouldn't have never thought that he had anything to do with this matter. It's very, very unfortunate. But tell me what y'all think about this in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe this video. Until then, be blessed, and I'm out. Bye.